I still remember the day my father passed away, leaving me his entire estate, including his life savings of $80,000. I was devastated by his loss, but I was also grateful for the financial security he had provided for me. I had always been careful with money, and I knew that this inheritance would help me retire comfortably. My son, Alex, had always been responsible and hardworking, so I trusted him to manage the inheritance. He had a good head on his shoulders, and I knew he would make smart decisions with the money. Or so I thought. But when I went to check on the account, I was shocked to discover that the money was gone. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I stumbled backward, collapsing into my chair as if I'd been physically hit. I immediately called Alex, demanding to know what had happened to the money. He hesitated before answering, and that's when I knew something was wrong. "Dad, I'm sorry. I invested it in a business venture. It's going to change our lives." I was taken aback by his words. Invested it? What did he mean? Why hadn't he talked to me about it first? I felt a wave of anger wash over me, but I tried to remain calm. "What kind of business venture?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Alex launched into a long explanation about a startup company he had invested in, and how it was going to revolutionize the industry. But as I listened to him, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He seemed nervous, fidgety, and his eyes kept darting back and forth. And then it hit me. A glimmer of deceit. A hint of betrayal. I saw it in his eyes, and my heart sank. My son, the person I trusted most in the world, had lied to me. He had stolen from me. I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine as I realized the truth. My son had taken advantage of me, and I had let him. I had been so blind, so trusting, and now I was paying the price. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to confront Alex, to demand the truth and get my money back. But another part of me was scared of what I might find out, scared of what might happen next. As I sat there, frozen in shock and uncertainty, I knew one thing for sure. I had to take action. I had to get to the bottom of this, no matter what it took. And so, I began my journey, a journey of discovery, of betrayal, and of ultimate vindication. I decided to play it cool, to pretend like I didn't suspect a thing. I didn't want to accuse Alex of anything just yet, not until I had more information. So I asked him more questions, trying to get to the bottom of things. "What's the name of this startup company?" I asked, trying to sound casual. It's called, Novatech," Alex replied, hesitating for a split second. "And what do they do?" I pressed on. "They're a tech company," Alex said vaguely. "They're developing some new software that's going to change the game." I raised an eyebrow. "That sounds pretty vague. Can you tell me more about it?" Alex shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I'd rather not, Dad. It's all pretty confidential right now. But trust me, it's going to be huge. We're going to make a fortune." I sighed inwardly. Something wasn't adding up. Alex was being too secretive, too evasive. I knew he was hiding something, but I didn't know what. "Okay, fine," I said finally. "But I want to see some paperwork, some proof that this company exists and that you've invested my money wisely." Alex hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, Dad. I'll get you the paperwork. But you have to promise me one thing, you have to trust me on this." "I know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to let you down." I nodded, trying to keep my skepticism in check. "I promise, Alex. I'll trust you. But I need to see some proof, something concrete that tells me this isn't just some wild goose chase." Alex nodded, looking relieved. "I'll get you the paperwork, Dad. I'll bring it over tomorrow." The next day, Alex arrived at my doorstep with a thick stack of papers. I took them from him, flipping through the pages as he explained what each document was. As I read through the papers, I started to feel a growing sense of unease. The documents were all legitimate, but they seemed off. The language was too technical, too jargon-heavy. And the company's financials seemed suspiciously vague. I looked up at Alex, my eyes narrowing. "This all looks very impressive, Alex. But I have to ask, how did you get involved with this company? Who introduced you to them?" Alex hesitated, looking around the room nervously. I met one of the founders at a conference. He seemed like a really smart guy, and he had a great idea for a product. I decided to take a chance and invest." I raised an eyebrow. "A conference? Which conference?" Alex shifted uncomfortably in his seat. I don't remember. It was just a tech conference, Dad. Nothing special." I sighed inwardly. Alex was lying to me. I knew it. But I didn't know why, or what he was hiding. As I continued to question Alex, I started to feel a growing sense of tension between us. He was getting defensive, agitated. I knew I had to tread carefully, or risk pushing him away. But I couldn't help myself. I had to know the truth. I had to know what had happened to my money. "Alex, I need to ask you something," I said finally, my voice low and serious. "Is there something you're not telling me? Something you're hiding?" Alex's eyes flashed with anger, and for a moment I thought he was going to storm out of the room. But then, he seemed to compose himself. "No, Dad," he said finally, his voice tight. "I'm not hiding anything. I just want to make a success of myself, and I need your support." I looked at him, searching for any sign of deception. But his eyes seemed sincere, his expression genuine. I sighed inwardly. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know what to think. But I knew one thing for sure, I was going to get to the bottom of this, no matter what it took. I decided to let the matter drop, for the time being. But I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. I kept thinking about the documents, about the way Alex had hesitated when I asked him questions. I couldn't help but wonder if he was telling me the whole truth. Over the next few days, I tried to focus on my daily routine, but my mind kept wandering back to the situation with Alex. I found myself questioning everything he said, every move he made. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, waiting for him to slip up and reveal the truth. One evening, as I was going through some old papers, I stumbled upon a document that caught my eye. It was an old receipt from a company I had never heard of, but what caught my attention was the address. It was the same address that was listed on the documents Alex had given me. I felt a surge of adrenaline as I realized that this could be a lead. I quickly grabbed my phone and dialed the number listed on the receipt. After a few rings, a woman answered. "Hello, Novatech," she said, her voice cheerful. My heart skipped a beat. Novatech? This was the company Alex had invested my money in. "Hi," I said, trying to sound casual. "I'm looking for information about a company called Novatech. Can you tell me more about it?" The woman hesitated for a moment before responding. "I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. We're a tech company, but we don't usually deal with, outside investors." I pressed on, trying to get more information out of her. "I see. Well, I'm looking for information about a specific investment. Can you tell me if you have any records of a person named Alex investing in your company?" There was a pause on the other end of the line, and for a moment, I thought I had lost her. But then she spoke up again. "I'm not authorized to disclose that information, sir. But I can tell you that we don't usually deal with individual investors. We're a private company, and we prefer to keep our dealings private." I thanked her for her time and hung up the phone, my mind racing with possibilities. What was going on? Why was Novatech being so secretive? I decided to do some more digging. I spent the rest of the evening researching the company, looking for any information I could find. But the more I looked, the more I realized that Novatech was a ghost company. There was no website, no social media presence, no nothing. It was as if the company didn't exist. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized the truth. Alex had lied to me. He had invested my money in a company that didn't exist. And now, I had no idea where my money was. I tried to call Alex, but he didn't answer. I left him a message, telling him that we needed to talk. But as I waited for him to call back, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was in grave danger. I had been trusting my son with my life savings, and now I realized that I had made a terrible mistake. I had no idea what Alex was capable of, but I knew one thing for sure: I had to get to the bottom of this before it was too late. As I waited for Alex to call back, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets he was hiding. What else had he lied about? And what was he going to do next? I felt a sense of unease wash over me as I realized that I was in a desperate game of cat and mouse with my own son. And I had no idea who was going to come out on top. As the hours ticked by, I grew more and more anxious. Alex wasn't returning my calls, and I was starting to feel like I was in a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. I tried to focus on my daily routine, but everything seemed to be a blur. I couldn't concentrate on anything except the fact that my son had betrayed me. I felt like I was walking around in a daze, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Alex called me back. "Hey, Dad," he said, his voice casual. "What's up?" I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. "We need to talk, Alex," I said, my voice firm. "I know what's going on with Novatech. I know it's not a real company." There was a pause on the other end of the line, and for a moment, I thought I had lost him. But then he spoke up again. "What are you talking about, Dad?" he said, his voice innocent. "Novatech is a real company. I invested your money in it, just like I told you." I felt a surge of anger at his denial. "Don't lie to me, Alex," I said, my voice rising. "I know the truth. I know Novatech doesn't exist." There was another pause, and then Alex spoke up again. "Okay, fine," he said, his voice resigned. "Novatech isn't a real company. But I can explain, Dad. I can tell you what's going on." I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Alex would come clean and tell me the truth. "What is it, Alex?" I asked, my voice softer. "What's going on?" Alex took a deep breath before speaking. "I invested your money in a different company, Dad. A company that's going to make us rich. But I couldn't tell you about it because it's not exactly legitimate." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "What do you mean it's not legitimate?" I asked, my voice shaking. Alex hesitated before answering. "I mean that the company is involved in some shady dealings. But it's going to pay off, Dad. I promise. We're going to be set for life." I felt like I was going to be sick. My son had invested my life savings in a company that was involved in shady dealings. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to confront Alex, to demand that he get my money back. But another part of me was scared. Scared of what might happen if I pushed Alex too far. I didn't know what he was capable of, and I didn't want to find out. As I stood there, frozen in indecision, Alex spoke up again. "Dad, please understand. I did this for us. I did this to secure our future." I felt a surge of anger at his words. "You did this for yourself, Alex," I said, my voice cold. "You did this to line your own pockets." Alex sighed. "I know you're upset, Dad. But please, just hear me out. Let me explain everything to you." I hesitated for a moment before agreeing. "Okay, Alex. Explain." As Alex began to explain the details of the company and its shady dealings, I felt a sense of dread wash over me. I knew that I was in over my head, and I didn't know how to get out. I was trapped in a nightmare, and I didn't know how to wake up. As Alex explained the details of the company, I felt like I was being pulled into a dark and twisted world. He told me about the company's dealings in money laundering, tax evasion, and other illicit activities. He told me about the people involved, about the connections they had to organized crime. And he told me about the risks, about the danger that we were both in. I listened, my mind reeling, as Alex spoke. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My son, the person I had trusted with my life savings, was involved in this. He was a part of it. And I was starting to realize that I was in grave danger. As Alex finished speaking, I felt a sense of cold dread wash over me. I knew that I had to get out, to get my money back and to distance myself from this company. But I also knew that it wouldn't be easy. The people involved in this company were not the kind of people you wanted to cross. They were ruthless, and they would stop at nothing to get what they wanted. I looked at Alex, my eyes searching for any sign of remorse. But he just shrugged. I know it's not ideal, Dad, he said. But like I said, it's going to pay off. We're going to be set for life. I felt a surge of anger at his words. You're not thinking about the consequences, Alex, I said, my voice shaking. You're not thinking about what could happen to us. Alex sighed. I know what I'm doing, Dad, he said. I've got everything under control. But as I looked at him, I knew that he was lying. He didn't have everything under control. He was in over his head, and he was dragging me down with him. I knew that I had to take action, to do something to protect myself. But I didn't know what. I was trapped in this nightmare, and I didn't know how to wake up. As the days passed, I found myself becoming more and more paranoid. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for something to happen. I knew that the people involved in this company were watching me, waiting for me to make a move. And I knew that they would stop at nothing to get what they wanted. I started to vary my routine, to take different routes to work and to change my daily habits. I didn't want to make it easy for them to find me. But despite my precautions, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I would see people lurking in the shadows, following me. And I would receive strange phone calls, with no one on the other end. It was like I was being stalked, and I didn't know what to do. I knew that I had to take action, to do something to protect myself. But I didn't know what. I was trapped in this nightmare, and I didn't know how to wake up. As the tension built, I found myself becoming more and more isolated. I stopped seeing my friends, stopped going out. I just stayed at home, waiting for something to happen. And as the days turned into weeks, I started to lose hope. I didn't know if I would ever be able to escape this nightmare, if I would ever be able to wake up. But then, one day, I received a phone call that changed everything. It was a mysterious voice, a voice that I didn't recognize. And all they said was 2 words, meet me. I was taken aback by the sudden phone call. Who was this person and what did they want with me? I tried to ask them questions, but they just hung up the phone. I was left with more questions than answers. Who was this mysterious person and what did they want from me? I couldn't shake off the feeling that this phone call was connected to the situation with Alex and the company. I decided to try and gather more information. I called the phone company to try and get a trace on the call, but it was a prepaid phone and there was no way to track it. I was at a dead end. I decided to wait and see if the person would contact me again. A few hours later, I received another phone call from the same number. This time, the person spoke. Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th and Main at 5 p.m., they said. Come alone. I was hesitant, but my curiosity got the better of me. I decided to go and see what this person wanted. As I arrived at the coffee shop, I saw a figure sitting in the corner. It was a woman with long, dark hair and sunglasses. She beckoned me over and I went to sit down. Who are you? I asked. I'm someone who knows what's going on with your son and the company, she replied. I know all about their dealings and I know that you're in danger. I was taken aback. How did she know all of this? What do you want from me? I asked. I want to help you, she said. I want to help you get out of this situation alive. I was skeptical, but I decided to listen to what she had to say. She told me that she had been working undercover to take down the company and its leaders. She had evidence of their wrongdoings and she was willing to share it with me. But there was a catch. I need your help, she said. I need you to do something for me in return for the evidence. I was hesitant, but I decided to hear her out. What do you need me to do? I asked. I need you to get close to Alex, she said. I need you to get him to trust you and to get him to give you information about the company. I was taken aback. How was I supposed to do that? Alex didn't trust me and I didn't trust him. But the woman just smiled. Leave that to me, she said. I'll give you instructions on what to do. Just follow my lead and we'll get the evidence we need to take down the company. I was skeptical, but I decided to go along with her plan. I didn't know what else to do and I was desperate to get out of this situation. As I left the coffee shop, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was in over my head. I was playing with fire and I didn't know if I would get burned. But I was willing to take the risk. I had to do something to protect myself and my family. I just hoped that I wasn't making a mistake. As I followed the woman's instructions, I found myself getting closer and closer to Alex. I was playing a delicate game, trying to gain his trust without arousing his suspicion. But it was working. Alex was starting to open up to me, to share with me the secrets of the company. And with each passing day, I was getting closer to the truth. I was getting closer to the evidence I needed to take down the company and its leaders. And then, one day, it happened. Alex took me to a secret meeting with the company's CEO, a man named Marcus. Marcus was a ruthless and cunning individual, with a reputation for stopping at nothing to get what he wanted. But as I sat in the meeting, listening to him speak, I knew that I had him right where I wanted him. I had the evidence I needed, the proof that would bring him and his company crashing down. And as I left the meeting, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. I had done it. I had taken down the company and its leaders. I had protected myself and my family. And as I walked away from the building, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I had finally found justice. The next day, the police arrived at the company's headquarters, armed with warrants and evidence. They arrested Marcus and the other leaders of the company, and they seized all of the company's assets. It was a major victory, one that would send shockwaves through the business world. And as I watched the news reports, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. I had done it. I had taken down the company and its leaders. I had protected myself and my family. And as I looked over at Alex, who was sitting in the corner, looking defeated and ashamed, I felt a sense of sadness. I had lost my son to the company's corruption, but I had gained my life back. I had gained my freedom back. And as I walked over to Alex, I felt a sense of compassion. I put my hand on his shoulder, and I looked him in the eye. I'm sorry, son, I said. I'm sorry that it had to end like this. But I had to protect myself. I had to protect our family. Alex looked up at me, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, Dad, he said. I'm sorry for everything. I was blinded by the money and the power. I didn't see the harm that I was causing. I nodded, feeling a sense of forgiveness. I know, son, I said. I know that you didn't mean to hurt anyone. But you did. You hurt me, and you hurt our family. But it's over now. It's over, and we can start to heal. And as I looked at Alex, I felt a sense of hope. I felt a sense of hope that we could rebuild, that we could start again. That we could find forgiveness and move forward. The days that followed were difficult, but they were also healing. Alex and I began to rebuild our relationship, to work through the pain and the hurt. And as we did, I started to see my son again, the son that I had lost to the company's corruption. I started to see the good in him, the kindness and the compassion. And I knew that we would be okay. We would be okay, because we had each other. And as I looked at Alex, I felt a sense of peace. I felt a sense of peace that I had not felt in years. I had found justice, and I had found forgiveness. I had found my son again, and I had found myself.